Hey, this is Chip with the Real Dirt, and today I have a very exciting episode. I know I say all the episodes are exciting, but I'm really been looking forward to this one. I've got Cullen, the CEO and one of the founders of GreenBroz. Say hello, Cullen.
Hey, Chip. Thanks for having me. And hello, everyone.
Now, if you don't know the term GreenBroz, or it's not your buddy down the street selling cannabis, they're a automation and solutions company. If you don't have a machine right now, or you're interested in a machine, this is a great episode to hear all about the automated solutions to trimming and processing cannabis. We've been talking about this episode for a while. I'm glad we finally got on the phone. There's so much stigmatism to automated trimmers. People hate them. People love them. Do you know, could you give us some type of statistics or facts? Do you know anything about like how much of the industry uses automated trimmers?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I'd say the percentage of the industry that uses it is well over 90.
90% uses some sort
I'd
of
say
automation.
well over, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, easily, especially with the market the way that it is right now. We sell a machine that is so close to hand trimming that most people can't tell the difference in the quality of the finish. That being said, we work with a lot of companies that use our equipment that will stop a little bit early and then hand finish, and then they call it hand trimmed. You know, hand trimming is the penultimate, right? That's the standard that we have to come up to, and you know, we're the only machine that does. So that's pretty cool.
You absolutely do a great job. I see cannabis all the time, and people can either just mindlessly run it through their, GreenBroz 215, or what's the other model? Is it the 315, 215?
That's the M now. Actually, we had the 420.
Okay.
All based on the California laws, but now we have the M. It's the M is a monster, boy. That machine is something.
I saw it here at the Canna trade show recently, CannaCon trade show. The stainless steel, man, totally waterproof. You can wipe it down, wash it down. Man, it was really, really nice, well thought out machine.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we went after, all the things that our customers are facing coming up here, regulations around equipment. We're a UL 508 panel shop, so our electrical is all UL certified and has a UL sticker on it. And our machines are all made with, the best quality materials, US stainless. So 304 for non-product touching and 316 for everything that touches the product. We looked at that machine from our customer's perspective completely. So we're excited about it.
We have so many customers that use the smaller machines, big operations, small operations, home grows, small commercial grows, big commercial grows. I see people using it all types of ways. I get customers that tell me all their tips and tricks and whatnot. And you're absolutely right. You can either just dump it in there and have automate your trimming process. You can hustle it a little bit and just use it to like pre-trim or prep it all. And many, many people do exactly that. Then they hand finish it and come out with a really stellar product.
Cannabis is interesting in that regard. In my mind, is as the market gets so full and there's so much product, you have to be aware of the things that you can do to separate yourself from the competition. And one of them is the way your product looks, and it's no longer just okay to mass produce stuff. Even the guys that are, we have some customers, believe it or not, that are doing 2,500 pounds a day in greenhouse, and that's a day. So that's going through this whole system. But even a company like that is looking at it like, hey, look, we can't cut corners. We can't have bad product. We can't have, we have to still be at this upper echelon because there's still that brand recognition and that quality recognition that has to be there. So everybody's quality conscious, especially in this marketplace, because honestly, that's all that you've got to separate you because the pricing is so competitive.
Man, you really sound like you know the cannabis industry to some degree. How did you get involved with all this? How did it happen for you?
Well, I was struggling as a dad and to raise a couple of kids and take care of my family, and needed some supplemental income. And my family was in the growing part of this business and got me involved. And I started growing in a closet. Eventually, made that closet into a large space, a large 2,000 square foot warehouse space, but I just wasn't really that good at it, to be honest with you. It takes a lot more.
Wait a second.
Attention.
You're the first person to ever admit that to me.
Yeah, well, I'm not exactly proud of it, but you've got to understand. I mean, that's part of life too, right? It's
some things you're great at, and some things you suck at. Some things you can't do.
Man.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for me, it was just I had a great strain and great, and it was like the system was great and things were good, but I just didn't understand the amount of time and energy it takes to really do that well.
Sure.
And it's a skill. Like it's an art form and a skill. And these guys that do it and get these results that you see nowadays, that just amazes me. I look at that and kudos to those guys, man.
No, yeah,
it is definitely a craft.
It's real easy to grow, third tier and second tier cannabis, right?
Yeah.
But to grow top tier cannabis, man, it's harder. It's like everything about it is harder, and it takes more skill, more wisdom, more energy, more talent to do it.
I'm fortunate. I get to go into some of the best, if not the best cannabis grows in the world right now. And
yeah, I bet access is
do some really amazing things, but it all comes down to that guy, that team of people who really has a passion for the plant and really works on it to get it to be just right, so that's pretty interesting.
So I interrupted you, man. You said you started growing, but you realized you weren't that good at it, and then what was the turn?
Well, then I had a friend who was struggling with some mechanical issues around dry sifting, and he wanted me to make a dry sifter for him, and everything that was on the market was these barrel sifters, and they just really weren't that effective. So I invented the Alchemist. It was so significantly different than the barrel sifters, and it was so much faster and had such a better quality of sift that I just thought, oh my gosh, here I'm on to something big here. And that's what kind of launched me into the machine side of things. And of course, right after that, I started looking at the trimmers. And at that point in time, there was really only one dry trimmer on the market. Now, of course, everybody says their wet trimmers do dry, but that's just a bunch of phooey, But back in the day, because it's the same machines they've always been. But back in the day, there was only one dry trimmer on the market, and I saw that as just a massive potential, and put some energy into developing what is now our 215 dry trimmer, and we haven't really changed that model, but minorly from the very beginning. So since 2012, that machine's been pretty close to the same. The big machine is what we've done a lot of work and development on, but that little guy's been just chunking away for us. So
it seems like almost everyone else has the same type of idea, but you went different. Your 215 trimmer and the larger one, they both work on similar principles. That's different from the like barrel, tunnel, tumble, grind
tumble crumble is what we used to call it.
Yeah, explain to us, if you can, draw a picture for us on why yours is different than the other competitors.
Well, I mean, the very first one that I ever saw looked like a dryer, right? And always made me laugh. And they said, oh, if you get it, you're looking for this wave. Like you would look in, that was the thing. You dial the speed up, and based on the consistency of your product and size, and you were looking for this wave to form inside this machine. And you're like, wow, that's fucking hauling ass, man. That machine is just getting it done. And you realize pretty quickly when you look at the product coming out that it's all very consistent, kind of like the wet trimmers do, they make the golf balls. That's when we started getting golf ball size or shaped cannabis, was when wet trimming got popular. And then the dry trimmers are starting to do the same thing, and they still do the same things. All those tumblers do the same thing. That, either they under trim because you can't manage the process, right? You put it in, you run it, and then you pour it out. So there's no management of process in there. And with our machine, it doesn't tumble. It gently kind of rolls around over itself. You can see the action over the blade. There's a brush on the 215, and on the M, we came up with these kind of displacement fins that create a rolling movement over the blade.
I noticed that.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's gentle. I mean, you can see it as it works. You can see the difference in how gentle it is compared to the tumbler crumblers.
Yeah, that looks like one of those features that it looks so simple, really, but it really does help the performance.
It's amazing. Yeah, I mean, that machine, we went right after, like I said, we went right after all the regulation on that machine, right? And we redesigned, knowing that we had the principal functionality correct, right? We knew that the trimming functionality was right, but we didn't know how to make it completely disassemblable, rapid changing of parts, easy to clean, food safe in the materials, the touching and handling portions, actually 316, so it's even better than food safe. We didn't know those things, how to get all that together, and then really, the brush was always that thing. Like, they get covered with trichome, so they kind of get frizzy, and they don't, it's just kind of the first idea, right? It just needed to be fixed, and the concept on this one was, how do we get it to move without using something that's really doing what a brush does, and that's where we sat for a while. My engineering team, we actually went up to one of our partners and did the testing on it, and that was a lot of fun. But there we were standing and putting pieces of deflecting material in different parts of the machine, and turning stuff sideways, and just like spent hours and hours kind of trying to, and taking video and then looking at it and then studying, kind of watching the flow and seeing what came up with. And that's how we ultimately ended up with the deflecting fins that we have. And we covered up the center hub, which has always been a point of consternation. We got rid of the sweeper bar, which has always been one of those things that was just, it was an initial idea that worked, but it just wasn't perfect, and now we think with this machine that we've finally gotten to that place where, if you look at the way the machine handles, first of all, it's a little bit smaller than our 420, but it outperforms our 420. So it's more effective, more efficient, and it does a better job, just does a better job at the end of the day. So, but that was a lot of work. That was a lot of time, study and evaluation, where the first machine, I didn't have an engineer. It was me, and, it was just solving little problems here and there until we got it functional. And now we've actually, I've got an engineering staff. We redesign things completely in SolidWorks. So we do a lot of modeling, a lot of testing before it comes out. We have great equipment now, so all of our precision is way, way up. So, lots of good stuff.
What's the productivity of this large machine?
Yeah, so it's still right in that same 10 to 12 pounds per hour. We're getting different feedback. Some people are liking it with larger, like a little bit larger batches. Some people like it with smaller batches. And, so that's kind of the little finer details, but the productivity still remains about the same, but the quality is better. The other thing that's great about it is a lot of people have these strain constraints, right? Or batch constraints anyway, because of material management. Right. So like Colorado, you have to keep all of one plant together, blah, blah, blah. And they have these tags that follow it from seed to, from cradle to grave, if you will. But they have very interesting kind of needs. Right. And all of our customers have that. In California, you have 20-pound batch needs and these kind of things. So they have to do cleanup and changeover. Well, with a system like this, you can pop the blades out. You can even pop the barrel out, put a new barrel, new blades and everything in. It takes like 5 minutes, and those can be being cleaned while you're running on your other set. So it's really reduced the downtime and the change or cleanup time between things, and made people a whole lot more productive in that regard. And then, of course, the cleanup of it is so simple. There's no crevices for stuff to get jammed up in, and it's just a whole lot better from that perspective. And it's power washable. I mean, shit, if you want to, you can just spray it.
Spray it down. Yeah, that's what I really like about it.
The panel itself is don't spray, but I mean, don't spray electrical stuff. That's a good plan, right? But you can spray the motor and the connections and everything else.
GreenBroz isn't just an automated trimming company. They don't just have automated trimmers. They're complete automated solutions. We have some mutual customers, and we've worked with you guys for years. Tell me about some of the automation that you've done for people.
Yeah, so it's right now it's such a baby industry. It's this connectivity thing, right? It's a moving, transporting conveyor transport from one process to another process, or connecting machines by different companies together so that they're working in flow. Like our precision batcher, which is from our partner GreenBroz, we have a jarring line now. Well, that's a different company. So you have to incorporate those two things together so that they function right. So you have, now have a batching system that jars. That's great, right? I mean, puts us right in the same place as one of the as a multi-head, big multi-head company that's designed to package peanuts, or jelly beans or whatever, or potato chips. Those guys make machines non-cannabis specific, but to this point, they've had an advantage because of the jarring, but now we have jarring and bagging. So that's kind of the thing, like solving problems, right? What does a company need and where do they want to get to? I can just speak personally about automation from my company's perspective. 2 years ago, we bought a laser, just a sheet metal laser that didn't have any automation to it. And that machine paid for itself in 2 years. The ROI was astounding. It was a great machine. Well, coming to Vegas and moving to Vegas, we bought a completely different piece of equipment. But this machine stores all its raw goods in it in a tower. So we've eliminated external storage, and this machine will run whatever you want and picks its stuff out, tells you when it's running out of material. It'll run all night if you tell it to, and you don't have to attend to it. And so now all of a sudden my productivity in that area, because we've got some automation in it, it's not 100% automated because I still have a guy that has to pull parts off of it, but just that little chunk, right, has increased the value of that machine or that set of processes 1,000-fold or better. So it's the same thing in the cannabis industry. When you go from having a machine that does one function, say a trimmer, because that's what we're talking about, you have that great piece of equipment that reduces this really tedious and difficult task. Well, what if that machine feeds itself and empties itself and spits out information for you? That's the kind of thing we're talking about, right? But what if we go one better than that? Not only does it feed itself, but it's being fed with specific sizes so that it becomes more efficient. And then its output comes into either bagging or micro batching, or gets sent off to extraction, or whatever it is you need out of that particular size or products. So you can see how these things kind of escalate in value as they become more and more combined and more of a system versus just a single process or a single solution for a single issue.
We were just talking about that today, how how much the quality would go up if you could harvest it, dry it, put it in its final package immediately that was airtight and sealed. It wouldn't get squished. It would, you'd immediately have it into inventory. Your inventory processes would change because you're not weighing out bulk weed and then weighing out other bulk weed and then weighing out other bulk weed and then packaging it. You skip so many steps when you can jar it up right away.
I mean, you got to figure every time that you're halting in a step, you go in, you go, okay, we're going to cut and buck and wet trim and then go to drying, right? So in there, you've got these things, but that can all come fluidly together, but you still have this point where you have to go and stop and dry. And there's all this opportunity in that window for problems to occur. And then you have, multiple people, getting hands on product. Now you've taken a product and you've packaged it for this process. And then you have to take it out of that process packaging, off of trays or racks or whatever, put it into another piece of equipment to process it on and get it into the next stage. And then some people bulk package it and then send it off to remediation and then bring it back in micro. It's just like, dude, stop touching the product.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Let's stop touching it, man. Let's just put it in and let the machines do what they do and get it done. And that's what we're pushing for really hard. Is ultimately that's what we see happening, is that complete reduction of interference in the harvesting system where you're running, the product from beginning to end. We'd like to see it so that it really comes off the stem and never has to be moved into a separate process. It goes through the whole system. There's some tricks in there that have to be solved, and we're working on them.
Make potting soil? Oh yeah, I make potting soil, right? And
that is the only thing that I know. I mean, that was my biggest jam. I could not understand making soil right, man. That's amazing. I just couldn't get it.
I use semi-automated equipment. We got, a 500-foot long batching, mixing, grinding, hydration, conveyor belts, weight sensors, volume sensors. That's how we make it right. But it is hard to make it just on the ground. And it's a great analogy that we're talking about here, to dump a bunch of raw materials on the ground and mix it up with a front end loader really is key. I mean, akin to the old school way of packaging up cannabis. We break out our raw materials. Our raw materials are packaged and go into the machine. Then, it gets mixed and blended and bagged, and, a couple of people watching it happen. But yeah, we put out 20,000 bags of soil a day that way with just a handful of people, 6 people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And it's consistent, and your bags are the right size, and they're consistent, and your product is, it's the same, especially in this country, but actually in a global marketplace. I mean, look at what McDonald's has done to food. Like, everybody expects that their McDonald's burger is going to taste like a McDonald's burger wherever McDonald's they go.
Yeah.
So it's important to have that consistency, because that's kind of what consumers expect. And that's what people who purchase cannabis expect. They don't want to have a sour diesel that isn't the same as the last time they had it, because they really liked it. That's what they want. That's where it's headed, man. I mean, it's headed down that direction of real consistency. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, this is something we talk about all the time, is like, there's this certain amount of customer education that needs to happen, but there's also this like demand by the customer and expectation that they can Amazon Prime anything, and they should be able to, go look at a menu, pick out something on a menu, just like at a bar, and reasonably, okay, if it's a Kush, it's going to be this way. If it's an IPA, it's going to be this way. If it's a Pilsner, it's going to be this way. If it's a blue strain, it's going to be this way. And we're right there on the verge, because the consumers are ahead a little bit in their demands and their way that they think that they're buying cannabis, because now they go into the store and there's this myth of manufacturing that's happened where somebody in a back room has put something in a plastic bag in a box, and they expect it to have of a certain quality, just like their Nikes or Converse or, Mac computer. Like, they want to go in and buy their name brand product. And automation and packaging specifically, like, really, really aids this, man. It really is.
Sure.
So many people are against a lot of this, but
there's a craftness to it that, isn't going to go away. And one of my guys that works for me is a level 2 sommelier. And I encourage everybody who gets an opportunity to go have a couple glasses of wine with that guy.
right.
Because there's this certain, he really understands through flavor and nuance, all these different things. And there's plenty of people around cannabis that are the same way, but you can produce high volumes of cannabis very consistently. It can be done. And that's what we're talking about. It's just having that next level of kind of consistent performance from a product. It's nice to have some variance, and be able to tell how some things are grown, and that, the other thing. And you always have that kind of moment where you go, oh, that was the best crop we've had in a long time, type of deal. But for the most part, people still want to have that consistent experience, man. They want to know that thing's going to give them the same experience it did last time they tried it. Packaging and perception is so huge, right? I mean, marketing, oh my God.
Yeah, look at the vape crisis. The manufactured vape crisis that's going on right now. Yeah. I'm not exactly sure what it's about, but
I'm not sure what it's about either. But I'm telling you what it's doing is it's pushing the hell out of these hemp guys to take that product that's been put in the ground and think twice about sending it off to full extraction. This is, people are going, well, maybe we need to make this smokable. And you're seeing I see a lot of people looking and asking about smokable hemp. And so it's really interesting what's happening with that. I don't know how it's going to end up, but somebody fucked up, I know.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, some people are really sick from it. But I mean, is this an overblown reaction?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it manufactured in some way? Probably.
Yeah.
Are people sick and hurting? Yes. But, is it a problem? Maybe not.
Well, there's still no regulation there, right? So everybody just said, oh, okay, vaping's cool.
Vaping's cool, bro. Yeah, totally. Yeah,
but there's no consistency. And I'm like, I keep thinking like to myself, like, yeah, strawberry flavoring is for your tongue, not for your lung. You know what I mean? Like, this is, I don't understand it. I get it. But, like no one was telling you like, hey, have we tested this on anybody or anything yet? What is it that's causing these kind of issues? I've heard lots of different things about it, but I mean, there's no regulation. There's no passing of any kind of FDA or any of that stuff. So, who knows, man? These guys go on the black market and rip shit off and make up their own stuff and say it's something else. And all of a sudden you got people getting sick, I don't know if you remember back in the day when Tylenol had their, somebody broke into the Tylenol, a bunch of freaking cyanide in the Tylenol. It's like after that, everything became impossible to open. You remember that?
And all the capsules changed.
Yeah, all of a sudden, so, I mean, vaping industry will adapt and they'll figure something out, but I don't know what's going on in it. And I don't vape, so I'm not attached to it necessarily personally,
Cullen, what I really like about your business and all the people that we've chatted with, your sales reps, your technical support, is everybody's really into it. Their heart's into it. And you've made this phrase industry born. Your products are industry born, and you really can feel that talking to your crew. And so many people have a great idea with cannabis. I say every time someone smokes a joint that wants to be in the cannabis business, they start spouting out ideas on how they can get involved.
Right.
Yeah. What was that light bulb moment when you were like, hey, man, I think there's some automation here. I think I should make this other business and stop growing and service the growers instead of being one.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, my first inclination was my consistency in production in the growing arena was just really horrible. But I also was able to figure out, some changes that could be applied to the industry. But I learned really, really quickly. I watched, I think the first dry trimming company that, like I said, the company that they were called the Mean Green. I think they still sell them, but I don't know. I haven't seen them in years. And I mean, that machine was killing it the first 2 years. And then they had a major issue with a supplier and a design change. They had done some things that in growth that kind of alienated some of the people on the purchasing side. So there was all these things that kind of came together and that company kind of faltered. And I saw that firsthand. I watched it kind of happen. I look at that as a huge lesson. Like, you can't just say, oh, I got it. There's no resting. There's no time to go, hey, pat yourself on the back. There's somebody out there, like you said, there's somebody out there thinking about it. I've seen 3 different machines that have been built off of deconstructed 215 trimmers where they've taken my parts and they've gone after it and they have some neat ideas. And I look at it, I'm like, I'm like looking at the motor. I'm like, that's my motor. Hey, those are my blades. Would you look at that? But we've actually had to go and sue somebody for actually directly copying my machine. So, but I don't know, I got kind of getting a little off track, but the point is like,
you saw somebody's product and you wanted to make a better one. You saw an opportunity in the market.
And I made something different, and our trimmer has stood out from everybody else. And we're just still pushing that envelope. Like we talk to so many people who are telling us, oh, well, this is a problem. This is where we're stuck. This is what we need help with. Can you fix this? And the answer is sometimes, yeah. And sometimes it's, well, give us a little bit of time to figure that out. And you can't fix everything, right? A lot of people are trying to solve the problems of the industry by going outside and grabbing machines that they go, oh, well, this works over in this industry. I mean, the multi-head wear is a great example. Yeah, it works really well in the potato chip market. It works really well in packaging nuts and jelly beans and other BS that doesn't have a high value. They don't work so well with a sticky, high dollar product like cannabis. When you want to have your margins correct, and you don't want to be giving away more than 1% on overpack, you can't even look at the multi-head wares. We replace them all the time, where guys spend, a couple $100,000, $500,000 on a machine, and it turns out that it does, but it's costing them more money to keep it than it is to replace it with our machine and run the right way, and get the product taken care of the right way. It's really interesting to see people go outside the industry like that. And that's why we come up with the industry-born product, right? So a product that was specifically designed to handle cannabis. That's what our trimmer is. It wasn't designed for anything else. Unlike the other machines that are out there right now, a lot of them were designed for other things, and a lot of them are just like, refinements of somebody else's idea. But ours was specifically designed around what cannabis needs. And that's why it does as good a job as it does. Our multi-head weigher, man, that machine is designed, it goes down to 100th of a gram. Well, if you're packaging 1 gram bags, which a multi-head weigher cannot do, but if you're packaging 1 gram bags at 100th of a gram, that's a big deal. Yeah. That's 1%. You know what I mean? So if you're packaging eighths, how far off do you want to be? And that's a great question. I mean, we have a machine that weighs down to 100th of a gram, and it's accurate, and then it double checks itself. So you're not having short weights, because that's the other thing. You can't give a customer a short weight.
You can't sell short sack, dude. That's bad news
right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Imagine packaging, 100 pounds, just 100 pounds a month in eighths, right? Mm-hmm. And well, if you're off by 10%, mm-hmm. you change the number of eighths you're selling by thousands. Right. And you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't seem like that makes sense. But if you look at the numbers and you look at how mm-hmm. that works out, yeah, that is very, very important to get that accuracy correct. And you also want the product to be handled the right way. And I can promise you, no one wants to clean one of those machines, those multi-head machines, when it's been feeding cannabis for a little while.
Yeah, no doubt.
But that's just an application. It's a great idea. It just doesn't work right. So you just need a better idea and need a better product. And so we've done that, and we continue to do that. And that's, what I think is the most valuable thing out there is industry born. I mean, have you ever seen those cigarette stuffing machines?
Sure.
They work great on tobacco.
Yep.
Great on tobacco.
Yep.
Man, but you have got to do a lot of work to get them to work with cannabis. That's just not quite the right machine for it.
Not quite there. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Just not quite the right, the same design.
It needs to be approached that way. And mm-hmm. But the industry's growing so fast that people are kind of get stuck with
we see it all the time. We see people from outside the industry that see it as an opportunity to sell widgets to cannabis people, and they just try to bring something in that doesn't really work. Some of it actually takes off, but most of it doesn't. This is great advice to all of you business people and entrepreneurs that are listening to the show. If you've got what you think is a great idea for the cannabis industry, but you're not really a cannabis person, you need to find some cannabis people, use them on your advisory board, and really run some good R&D to see if your product actually was going to work.
Yeah, that's a great point. And, the other thing is if you're out there and you think you've got something that's really shit hot and you're looking for a way to get that out, give me a call, man. Come to GreenBroz. Let's talk. We're all about helping and getting stuff out into the marketplace that's created around this industry.
That's great.
We have 2 partnerships right now with 2 different great different companies, starting a 3rd partnership and possibly a 4th by the end of this year. We're helping, other companies bring products into the marketplace because we have a great reputation and we know what we're looking for and we know what we're doing. So we're out there helping other companies come to market with great ideas in a much quicker fashion than they would be able to on their own. I mean, the barrier to entry in this place in this particular space is huge right now.
Yeah.
When I started in a garage. Mike, you couldn't do that today. It's too big of a lift. The cost of these trade shows, my God, and the marketing, advertising, and getting your name out, and
the cost of one booth of a trade show is more than what it cost me to start out my first potting soil company.
Yeah.
I literally went in with a buddy. We put $3,000 in each and bought a load of cocoa fiber and resold it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. I mean, I don't even want to tell you what we're spending at MJ BizCon.
Yeah, oh my God, dude. I've seen your setup there. Oh my God, it's immense. And if you're gonna bring a setup like you have in the past to this next one?
Yeah.
Oh, if you guys are out there going to MJ BizCon or thinking about going to MJ BizCon, definitely check out the GreenBroz set of booths. They have equipment like you've never thought about, you've maybe only dreamed about, or you don't even think is possible. It's really impressive, man. It really is. Cullen, man, I really appreciate you chatting with me today. It's been a great conversation. Man, but before we go, though, I want to see if you'll tell me how to use one of your GreenBroz 215 trimmers the best way.
Yeah, I mean, really, the things you're looking for when you're using one of our trimming machines is it's about having the right moisture content to your product, and really specifically making sure that the leaves are crispy. If the leaves are crispy, you're going to be right in there. And we like to be in the internal content, moisture content, in the 10 range. It just depends. You still want to have it spongy. You don't want to have it, of course, be fragile. If you have that set up, and then it's about finding that comfortable spot and the amount of product you want to put into the machine. The beautiful thing about it is you can run it and you can watch it. You can get your hands in there if you need to and pick out the product and figure it out. When I started, I used to run 2 machines side by side in my garage because my friend used to go to Northern California and he used to buy cannabis on the stock because it was cheaper for him. And he'd bring it down and I'd trim it. And I was running it through my machines and I was making $100 a pound. So I was trimming 2 machines all night long. And I thought I was fucking King Kamehameha, man. I was making money left and right, Yeah, I mean, that was it. Just like, you just find that spot where things make sense and play with it a little bit. Don't be afraid to use the tool.
Well, friends, once again, it's time to close this episode. I know it's sad, but there'll be another episode in the future. Thank you for joining us here on The Real Dirt. Cullen, thank you so much for giving me your time.
Well, I really appreciate it, man. These conversations help me to keep my history alive in my mind. You get busy sometimes and forget, but it's really nice and refreshing to kind of be able to look back. So thank you for the opportunity.
Hey, how do people contact you guys?
The best way is right on the web at www.greenbroz, GreenBroz.com. From there, you can find our videos, but you can also find our LinkedIn and all of our other social connections right there. And then there's also our phone numbers there, but it's 1-844-DRY-TRIM. So that's the best way, easiest way to get a hold of us. You can always message through all the fun apps. I don't know all those addresses, but they're on the website.
Yeah, and if you're interested in buying or renting a GreenBroz trimmer, please contact us at Cultivate OKC or Cultivate Colorado. We rent and sell those machines. And if you're interested in renting one, definitely put in a reservation because this time of year, man, they are booked up. Yeah, thanks again, guys. And have a nice end of your day. Real Dirt.